Hello there. Welcome into the show. As always, this is Seth and Paul. We're here bringing you a very special episode. We're not looking at stocks today. We're not looking at businesses or real estate. We are spoiling and showing off the wonderful software that is part of everythingmoney.com, the Everything Money software. Our patrons get this software. It's finally here. We're incredibly excited. Paul, it's been months of preparation, dev development, and we're finally here with Everything Money software, a part of this amazing software. Of the many things you'll be getting as the months and years progress, our patrons, you will be getting this incredible retirement calculator. This is a software that Paul has set up himself with the help of developers from literally all over the world, Paul. You're obviously, most of our lives as normal people investing has an idea about retiring. And I'm sure you see the videos all over YouTube. What do I need by the time I'm 20? What do I need by the time I'm 30? What do I need by the time I'm 40, 50, so on and so forth? What I love about your take, Paul, is that you actually bring in the numbers of like, how do I want to live when I retire? And this is something I haven't seen in a lot of videos. And so I'd like for you to walk through our brand new Everything Money retirement calculator, show us the pros and cons. By the end of this video, we hope you guys see this is an amazing software that can be yours if you join our Patreon page. And moving forward, I think it's going to be used. It's just going to be loved by our patrons because it's just incredible, Paul. Give us the gist on this retirement calculator.
So first, when you see this and you realize this is the easiest thing we have on the Everything Money website, you're going to realize how amazing the website is, right? The software is so good. This is the simplest thing. I have a friend of mine, actually the brother of our current intern. He's a financial planner, wealth manager, whatever name you want to call it. And he actually called me recently and said it was the best retirement calculator he ever saw. And so I called him today and said, hey, listen, why is it the best one you ever saw? He said exactly what you said, Seth. Most people think about, I want to withdraw 4% a year in retirement. Well, if you have $100,000 for retirement, you're going to withdraw 4% a year. The question is, can you live off 4% a year? And if it's 30, 40, 50 years from now, people have a hard time grasping how much inflation can eat away at your income. So let's say, for example, you have $2 million in retirement and you want to pull out 4% a year. You're like, 80,000? Oh, I can live off 80,000. Well, 80,000 30 years from now is like 30 or 35,000 today.
This is a great point, Paul, because again, the point of our show, folks, is that I bring Paul sort of, I think, your common person questions.
Yep.
And for me, Paul, is like, I never knew what was enough. My wife and I had, honestly, for years until I met you, had this like weight on our shoulders that we couldn't retire. We're not going to have enough money to retire. It's just not possible. We're not saving enough. It's chaos. Meanwhile, we found out because of you that we're probably going to be fine. And I'm dying to use this retirement calculator, no pun intended, because you go through the age at which we want to retire, how long we want to live, how much money we want to have when we live, and how much we need to be saving right now. Why don't you get into it, my friend?
And we're going to add more things to this. For example, one of the things I will add to this calculator is, when you pass away, do you want to leave money to your children? If so, how much do you want to leave or to charity? How much do you want to leave to them in today's dollars? And it'll tell you, can you hit your goal? And the best part of this calculator, guys, is it won't just tell you, yes, you're on schedule or no, you're not. If you're not on schedule, it'll tell you exactly how much extra you need to save starting today to get to that level. So this is the Everything Money website. A couple grayed out areas we're still going to be working on. 8 pillars in retirement calculator are ready. So we click on retirement calculator. Now, I'm going to go over the categories first, and then we'll start filling it in. And maybe, Seth, we use yours as an example.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. First thing I ask for is age. Then, logically, what age do you want to retire? How much do you currently have in savings? How much are you saving every single year right now? Now, one thing that a lot of retirement calculators don't do, they assume you're saving the same amount every year. Guys, if your income's going up 5 or 6% a year, you shouldn't save the same amount every year. You should increase your savings. So, what percent are you going to increase your annual savings by? I would tell people at least inflation, and at most what you think you're going to be making as increases over time. The younger you are, the bigger those increases will be. The older you are, the less those increases will be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you're assuming 3% inflation every year?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to ask you for inflation. 3%, 3.5%. If you want to be conservative, call it 4% just to make sure you're conservative.
Okay, keep going.
Your annualized returns. Now, what do you expect to make annually in your returns on your stock portfolio? Historically, over time, it's been 9.9%. but it could be 7% because you have a mix of stocks and bonds. I don't know. But the whole point is that's something you need to research ahead of time and understand what you expect to make.
And what we're trying to do on the Everything Money channel is, the standard return is around 10%. If you can bump that number to something like 12 or 15, even a few years with our help and guidance, you're gonna be amazed at how much money you're gonna have.
And I don't think 15 over a long period of time is realistic.
It's plausible, no.
But I think 11, 12, 13%, if you're structured and disciplined and add things like options, I think you can. So here's another great thing. Annualized returns during retirement. Most retirement calculators, in fact, I haven't seen one, I'm sure there are ones out there, stop at retirement and say, here's how much you have to retire. Well, guys, you're still going to make money in retirement. You're still going to have, now, do I think you should have all your money invested the same way in stocks and everything? No. You should tailor back the number of stocks you have and the percentage of stocks because you don't want big fluctuations, especially if you're relying on this money to live, okay? So this is a big difference in a lot of retirement calculators. Now, another great question, kind of morbid. What age do you expect to live to? Also known as when are you going to die? Now, everyone has to realize that even though the average age right now is 78, the younger you are, the higher that number will be. Like I always put in 100 for myself.
Paul, you've really opened my mind about the idea of like really living a lot longer than I thought. Like our parents and grandparents, 78, 80, 82 seemed old, but you're ready for 90, 100, and you're.
When I meet somebody who's 80 now, I don't go, man, that person's old. I just go, all right, they got about 10, 15 years left to live, probably. Now, I don't know if that's really statistically the right way, but especially high-income people who tend to be watching this show, your average life expectancy will be higher than most. So you've got to factor that in there, that your retirement is not going to be this age of like, it is this time of like 15 years of retirement. No, you're probably going to have potentially 30 years of retirement in there. That also affects your retirement age back here. You want to make sure your retirement age isn't 62 or 63 or 64 or 65, unless you have plenty of money. The first model I would run is assuming retirement at 70. You might sit there and say, oh my God, that's so long. I get it. But remember, you're going to have 20 plus years of retirement. You need to make sure that you have plenty of money in the bank to make it through those 20 years, okay? Inflation, like we said, 3 to 4%, depending how conservative you want to be. And the great thing about this calculator is you can easily change different things to give you different results, okay? Current annual income before taxes. Now, this is the important part. What are you making today before taxes? That's an important aspect, okay? Because the next question is, what percent of your income do you want to have in retirement? Okay? What percent of your current income do you want to live off of? So if you love your lifestyle, right, and this is the hard question, these are the unknowns. Are you currently paying for kids? In retirement, you won't have kids anymore. Are you currently paying a mortgage? In retirement, you likely won't have a mortgage. Now, your healthcare costs will be higher, your travel costs will be higher, but you're probably spending less on things like cars and clothing because have you ever seen an 80-year-old who's really dapper and changing cars every year? I mean, you start to realize that life's getting to the end and you start to do the things, you spend money on the things that matter more. So you have to decide what percentage of income you want to have in retirement. I personally go with at least 100%. I want to have at least my current income in retirement. I don't want my lifestyle to change one bit. Now, you might sit there and say, listen, I'm saving like crazy. I want to live a better lifestyle. I want to live double the lifestyle.
Yeah, this is something that has never crossed my mind, but it's so important in the calculation in terms of how much money I need is how do I want to live? What do I want?
And that's what Quentin's brother Connor said to me. He's like, no retirement calculators sit there and factor in what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Now, one of the things we can do on this software, which I'm not planning to do right now, but I do with the high school kids, I go through a budget. And then I say, guys, to live this exact budget in retirement, this is what it's going to cost. So this is a it's basic enough where it's easy to use. It's thorough enough where it's really going to give you an idea of where you stand. So, should we talk about Seth?
I think we should get after now because I'm getting antsy myself. I'm sure our viewers are as well.
Okay. Seth, you're 40 years old.
Unfortunately, yes. But Paul, you've taught me that, when my parents turned 40, they were old, and now I just still feel so young.
I really do believe 40 is the new 30.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like I still have, like you said, 40, 50, 60 years left, at least 50 years left.
I think so, especially with how much medicine. I mean, think about medicines from me, you, and Tim are all the same age, right?
Yeah.
How medicine was in 1990. I talked to my father about 1990 because he's a physician. That's only 31 years ago.
You say that, man. I remember when people got AIDS and they were just, they're dead.
Done.
Yep, you're done for. Now it's like a pill.
Now it's like, okay, I mean, I don't want to get morbid about it, but I've always told people like, I'd rather prefer to have Well, I shouldn't get into that conversation, but
Why not? Go ahead.
no, I'm not going to.
My retirement age. What are you
What's your
thinking?
retirement age, Seth?
I mean, you said 70. Let's stick with that, right?
Okay. What do you currently have in your stock portfolios and your retirement accounts?
About 420,000.
Okay. How much are you guys saving per year right now?
Only 12,000.
Okay. How much can you increase that by every single year?
Well, so if I at least probably let's call it every year.
Yeah, every year you're going to increase it by X percent.
Gosh, what would you think?
Well, Seth, I mean, everything money is doing better.
Yes.
Your wedding business, you're getting better at. I think your 12,000 a year is low.
It is.
But I get it because
I'm self-employed and.
Yes, I get that. Let's do 5% here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what returns can you expect to get? Let's just be conservative and call it the
10.
annualized returns of 10%.
10.
And afterwards, guys, I like doing about 6%. If you expect the market to do 10%, afterwards you're going to go to 60-40 split of
You
stocks
mean
and
after
bonds.
retirement? This is annualized.
After retirement, sorry. I think about 6% is a reasonable number to assume based on if you're in low-cost ETFs and you're in a mix of fixed income as well as stocks, et cetera. I think over long periods of time in that mix, you can probably expect 6 to 7%. Let's assume 6. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Seth, the big number.
Well, I'd love to live to at least call it 87 is the magic number.
Okay, 87. That's very specific.
I got a lot of exercising I need to do before now and then, but yes, 87 we'll call.
Inflation?
I don't know.
Let's just call it 3.5%.
3.5? Okay.
I think historically over like 100 years, it's been about 3.5%. But in the last 15 or 20 years, you had very low inflation. So let's assume 3.5%. Now, Seth, what do you make per year before taxes?
Probably about 200.
Okay, so 200,000. Now, you have 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
You have a big mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you like to make in retirement?
Well, at least 100, right? I mean,
100,000?
I'm sorry, you said a percentage?
Well, how much would you, in today's dollars, if you could make the same amount of money, is that reasonable?
Yes.
I think so too.
We
so
live very comfortably.
We want to do 100% of his current income.
Yes.
Which means he currently makes 200,000. We want 100% of that in retirement. Now remember, folks, what this is going to do is it's going to take today's 200,000 and it's going to increase it by inflation on its own. So you don't have to worry about, well, what's 200,000, 30 years? Don't worry about that. What you need to worry about is how much do you make today and what percentage of your income do you want to have in retirement? A lot of financial planners will tell you you're going to live off less money in retirement. But let's be conservative so you know where you stand. Now we're going to do something called hit the button right here. Very simple, folks. We're going to hit this button. And guess what? Do you have enough in retirement? Very simple. Yes. You have plenty for retirement. Let's see how much plenty you have. So here it's going to show you on the right, every year, your savings, the growth, extra savings, and balance. Guys, check this out. When Seth dies at 87, he's going to have $10.3 million to leave to his children.
10.3?
$10.3 million, according to this model right here.
Come on.
Seth has plenty of money. And remember I told you $200,000 a year? At retirement, that's $581,000 he's withdrawing. And it goes up every year by inflation. So Seth has plenty. Now let's see how much that changes if we take Seth's $12,000. And I've told Seth, as you make more money from everything money,
yes,
I think you should put the vast majority of that into savings. You're going to make, let's just assume you take that to $30,000 a year.
That's a lot, Paul.
I don't think it's a lot because I think you're going to make significant money from everything money.
Okay, go ahead.
Seth is going to die with $25 million in his pocket.
Come on.
Yep. Do not show this video to Gio and Hank.
I was going to say.
Let's not show this video to them. Guys, this is the power of compound interest. Look at Tim. He's like fist pumping. He's so happy for you.
It's incredible.
And it's funny because Seth never thought he was the kind of person that could have $20 million.
It's not possible. I'm just a normal guy working a crappy job.
By the way, the best part is
not right now. I mean,
you'll
in
have
the past.
you'll have 16 million when you retire, 16.9 million when you retire. That's incredible, Seth. But what does it take? It takes discipline. Mm-hmm. It takes just sticking to the plan and doing that $30,000, whatever the number is.
So these numbers factor in inflation, which is why they're so elevated.
Correct.
And so this is something I never grasped with other retirement calculators is how much life is going to cost 30, 40, 50 years from now.
Yeah. In your last year of life, you're spending $1 million.
You know, funny, I just looked, Paul, the average car price in 2020 was 38 grand. In 1990, just 30 years ago, it was 15 grand.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah, and that sounds about right with inflation, about 3% a year. That sounds about right for a car. So the great part of this retirement calculator is it's not just telling you, people always sit there and think, like I've heard people, I remember 20 years ago, somebody telling me like, well, if you have $1 million in retirement, you live on $50,000 a year. It was in college. I remember seeing that person a couple of years ago. They're like, well, yeah, if you have $1 million, I'm like, you're still talking about the $1 million? Grow up. Like, it's not $1 million. It's not going to work for you anymore. You got to increase that number.
So just to show this off a bit, what if my life was drastically different? I wasn't that disciplined the last 10 years. And say I'm 40, I don't have 420,000 saved. I have 80,000 saved.
Okay.
And I'm only saving, unfortunately, 12,000 a year.
12,000 a year.
Which is what I've been doing for a long time.
Now, here's the great part. As you can tell right here, it says you need to save $9,200 more per year. Because right now, this retirement calculator is showing you have a deficit of $7.3 million. Now, let's add that $9,200 to our savings number. So instead of 12,000, we're going to go to 21,006. That's plus 9,200 bucks. Well, now it's telling me to save $200 more per year. So it's a little lie here. Let's just go to 500 here. 21.5. You have enough for retirement. You go to the bottom. You basically die with $233,000 in your pocket. So what this is doing, the software is trying to get as close to zero as possible. And so I'm putting it in there. It's relatively close there. The whole point is you retire with millions and you just, because I've heard people literally say, I want to die broke. I don't want to leave a dollar to anybody. I want to die broke. I don't want to leave money to kids. I've heard that many times. More power to you. I don't care. And this will tell you how much you need to save in order to die broke. So you retire with almost $8 million in your pocket and you literally die with zero. Now, folks, I would highly recommend that you not factor that in there because so many things can happen. I do think the biggest curveball here is how long you're going to live. Like I think I read somewhere, every year since 1850, the life expectancy has increased by 3 months per year. So 10 years from now, the average life expectancy will be 30 months more, 2.5 years more. 50 years from now, based on the same calculation, that's 150 months. That's 12.5 years extra. If right now we're at 78, 50 years from now, the average life expectancy will be it will be a little over 90. So every year that progresses, the average life expectancy increases by 3 months. If you look at the stat, I'm very obsessed. I actually just got a book recently called Ageless. I'm very obsessed with living a long life.
Yeah, haven't they said like the people who are just born nowadays, some of them can live to 120 years?
They're saying that right now, the first person to live to 150 is around today. It's alive today. I mean, imagine 150, Seth. We're 40 years old. That's 110 more years of life.
That's like Civil War time back compared to us.
1910. About 50 years after the Civil War. But yes, I'm sorry. You mean somebody born? You're right.
Yeah, you're right. Going back to the Civil War that far. I mean,
so imagine you're born in the Civil War and you're still around today. Imagine all the things you've seen in your life. You've seen 2 world wars. You've seen and by the way, World War I, you were 50 years old when World War I happened. 50 years old. You were older than us when World War I happened.
That's crazy.
The Titanic sank 110 years ago.
It's amazing.
So guys, please use this, especially the younger people out there. Please use this to realize that compound interest is your best friend in the world. If you're older and this makes you, don't worry. Just, hey, this is a wake-up call. At least you know now. It's never too late to start saving more, right? This retirement calculator will tell you exactly what you need to do to get to your goals. Exactly what you need to do. So go do it. Go enjoy life. And just keep plugging away and learn more and more from our channel, and your returns will be better and better. Now, can I factor in 12% return?
I was just going to say, yeah, go back to my original numbers.
Let's go to your original numbers.
So I have 420 saved.
You're going to save $12,000 a year. Not 120. Now, let's take you up to 12% and your annualized returns at retirement to 7%. Seth, your children are going to have $38 million to play with. But the government's going to take 50% of it because it's not fair that you earned money and saved it. And your kids would inherit it. So 38, by the way, sarcasm, $37.6 million. You're going to retire, Seth, with 19 million, and you're going to die with more than that.
Now change my annual savings from 12,000. What did we say? Maybe
30,000, you said?
30,000. Look at this number. What does that go to?
$61 million.
Come on.
Hey, Tim, remember when you once told me that when you once told Seth and I that your goal was to leave $100 million to your kids? And he thought that's impossible. Seth, if you lived at 95, watch this. I wonder what's going to happen if you live at 95. How much do you leave your kids?
Go on. The suspense.
$93 million.
Suspense is killing me.
$93 million.
It seems like so little right now, Paul. I've been saving for about 10, 11 years.
That's the thing about compound interest. This is the graph of compound interest.
Late, then it explodes. The last 7 is when you're going to like totally slay it.
I mean, it's incredible. Look at this. You go from age 88, you have age 87, you have 61 million. After spending another 12 or 13 million, you still have 93 left over.
Incredible.
Now, I don't want everybody to get this and go, oh, I'm coast is clear. Like, I'm going to encourage Seth. He'll be like, Paul, I don't really need to save 12,000. No, because things can happen along the way that can take away from that retirement. Like, if all of a sudden, Seth, your income fell in half, you have to dip in your savings for a little bit. So always save it. I always encourage Seth and Tim, everybody, whatever you make from everything money, bank as much of it as you can, at least half of it away for savings. Because Seth has a successful business already. Go. You're going to do that for a long time. Enjoy that. Keep saving. And by the way, you might be able to retire earlier because now look at it. Now, Seth, instead of this, maybe you retire at 60. Do you have enough to retire at 60? You need to save $1,000. You need to save $31,000 a year to retire at 60, Seth.
31,000?
Yep.
Wow.
Just 31, call it 31,500. And you can live to 95.
Come on.
You can live to 95, retiring at 60, 20 years from now on 31.5 a year.
Wow.
Assuming these things happen.
Sure.
There are a lot of assumptions here, folks, but guess what? Some years will be way better than this. Your retirement time will be better than this. Some will be worse. Inflation might be higher, lower. I don't know. And we're also assuming 100% of your income, which a lot of retirement planners say, hey, you probably will save money in retirement.
Yeah.
And by the way, this doesn't include any other investments you get. Your house will be paid off. If you buy a couple property, if you buy a rental property every couple of years or even once a year, not even factor. These are all things that are extra on top of it.
If you love what you see, you can get this retirement calculator as a part of our Patreon. Join our Patreon page. The description is in the link below. Paul, we never thought in a zillion years we'd have the number of patrons we have now. It's mind-boggling. People are flocking to this. And as you saw on the opening slide, there's so many more things to be added. Real estate calculator. Keep going, Paul.
Momentum trading, chart trading. We're going to have a stock analyzer tool. There's just so much. This software is the focal point of our channel.
Yep.
This software is completely only on our channel. This is all developed in our own home. Nobody else has it. Nobody else in the world has it. We're developing it in-house because we believe that information should be as inexpensive as possible, provide a return for us to be able to do it. And I just love doing it anyhow. I love making software.
The Patreon tiers fill up on almost a weekly basis, Paul, so make sure you get in there. As always, we thank you guys for watching, and stay with us. Stay with the Everything Money channel for all the insight with stock analysis, real estate, and, of course, how to retire. It's incredible, Paul. Yep. Tickle, fondle that thumbs up on the way out. You know I love you. And thanks for watching. See you next video.